Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga by the Pool and our last September class by the pool. But what amazing weather it is. So we're going to keep going outside as long as we possibly can and enjoy this great weather. So we have today some stretching for the posterior chain, which involves your glutes, your hamstrings, and your calves, even down into the bottoms of the feet. We also have some stretching for our quadriceps as well. And some of these poses will be laying down, some of them will be kneeling, some standing. So I want to be sure that you take any options or modifications that are best for you and in your body. I do have my yoga strap. There might be a couple of poses where if you can't reach back and grab your ankle, you're going to want to take your yoga strap and loop it around so that you can extend that reach of your arm. We might use a block as well and a blanket. So we're going to actually start down onto our backs today. So let's come all the way down. If you need a little bit of support for the back of your head to keep a neutral spine, you can place the block behind your head. You can place a little towel or a little cushion or roll up a hand towel for a neck roll behind the back of the neck. And we're just going to come into a few breaths in Savasana. And if you're at home, you can close your eyes. If you're outside in the backyard with me, if you'd like, just open them. We can gaze up into this beautiful blue sky. Not a cloud in it. I see a little trail of an airplane that has gone by, that nice little smoky line through the sky. Nice pale blue. Just bring your awareness to your breathing. If you'd like, you can place your hands onto your belly. And as you inhale, the belly floats up and feels like a balloon. As you exhale, the belly falls back down, and at the very end of the exhalation, slightly tighten your abdominal muscles. And breathe in deeply into the belly. Breathe out completely and slightly engage those abdominals. One more breath. Inhale. Exhale. And brace the core. Now with that breath, we'll reach the arms above the head. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, pull your right knee into your chest. Exhale fully and brace your core. Inhale, reach up. The body goes long. Exhale, the left knee comes in. And just move back and forth between these poses and allow the breath, the length of the breath, to guide your body and the speed of your movement. So there's no rush. Very mindful of that full breath in and complete exhale. And layering on a piece, if you'd like, as you pull the knee into the chest, curve your head and shoulders up off the mat. Bring your nose up towards your knee, flatten your belly, and switch. So we start to engage the abdominal muscles. And we stretch through the glute just a little bit, through the lower back. And I like to flex the foot. So as you pull that knee into your chest, pull your toes up towards your kneecaps. And we'll do one more on each side, right and left. Finish with a stretch, arms above the head. And then you can just relax your arms back by your side, palms rotated up. Now we'll take the right leg, and with a straight leg, keep the foot flexed and lift the leg up towards the ceiling. Then point your foot and lower it down, and we'll stay on that right leg. So we flex and lift point, and lower. And as much as you can, try to keep that right leg really straight as you do this exercise, and that'll give you a maximum stretch in your hamstring. If you bring your leg up and it bends a lot, then just go a little lower. So maybe you're only here to keep your leg straight, and that's okay. And you can either put the inhalation or the exhalation when the leg is rising. We have 2 more on this side. Stretch. And 1 more. Then lift that leg up and hold your stretch. If you'd like to use your yoga strap, you can grab hold of that, loop it under the bottom of your foot to create a little extra length, and we'll hold several breaths. So again, try to get this leg totally straight. The hamstring muscle crosses 2 joints. It crosses the back of the knee as well as the hip joint attaching at the sitting bone. So if we have this knee bent quite a bit, we'll get a little bit of a stretch here, but we won't get the fullness of that extension of the hamstring as we lengthen across the bottom of the knee. Find your breath, inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. Then holding on to the strap with your same side hand, the right hand, begin to guide your leg open until you feel that nice inner thigh stretch. Your left arm can reach out to counterbalance your body. And we're still straightening the leg, still lifting it up to our maximum position. But we're early on in our practice today, so not really overstretching that muscle yet. This is just gentle as we're warming up. Both shoulder blades are firmly placed into your mat. And then guide that leg back through the center line. Pause there for a moment. See if you can create a little bit more length here, just briefly. As you transfer your yoga strap into your left hand, right arm opens. And without twisting your spine, just guide that leg a little bit across. So we're still trying to keep the pelvis down on the mat, and this takes the stretch into our iliotibial band. And it's okay to twist if that feels better for you this morning and you'd rather give yourself a nice rotation. But if you're focusing on IT band, we're just bringing that leg across. You can also slightly rotate your ankle inward, so your toes are going over towards the left side of your body, and that gets this outside of your shin a little bit, or a lot of it. For me, it's a lot of it. And then let's bring that leg back to the midline one more time. Try to extend a little bit deeper for 1 breath. And exhale, release that yoga strap, and let your legs settle back down onto the mat. Let's pause for a moment, just notice what we feel. Any differences between our right side and our left side. And we'll let those differences dissipate. And when you're ready, flexing the left foot, tightening your thigh muscle, lift that leg up to your edge, point your toe, and lower your leg down. Flex and lift, point and lower. And you might feel some big differences right off the bat in the flexibility you have on this side. So just be patient. Most of us with each repetition can find a little bit more range as that muscle begins to elongate and stretch. Flowing with the breath. And also feel your abdominals tightening here. And we have 2 more on this leg. Last one. And then we extend the leg up. Option to use the strap. And we'll just hold for the hamstring to begin. And relax and breathe. These stretches can be very stress relieving. They can calm the mind and our emotions. If we feel anxious, just let that all go as you're letting go of tension in your leg, tension in your spirit, and in your mind. Now with that left hand, we'll slowly find your range of motion in transverse abduction of that leg, which is a wonderful hip opener. It's going to release tight hips, tight inner thighs, and still focusing on the hamstring. Right arm can go out to the side to counterbalance, both shoulders pressing into the mat. And feel your abdominals gently bracing. Now just notice, are you tightening up the muscles in your leg? So just try to let it hang there. You're using that strap or your arm to be supportive to that leg so that the muscles aren't tightening to keep the leg in space. And then we'll bring our strap back to the midline and try to find a little bit more range, just briefly drawing it toward you just a bit more. As we transfer the strap to the right hand, and just a little bit start to draw that leg across. Wow. I'm only going a couple of inches here before I'm really feeling that intense stretch. And we can get a little more on the outside of the shin by turning the foot inward. And just kind of play with that and see what position of your ankle gives you the best stretch. When we pre-stretch our hamstrings at the beginning of our practice, then when we move into our sun salutation, into our forward folds and different poses in our practice, we're going to feel a little bit more free in our range of motion, a little bit more pliable in our movement. Let's bring that leg back to the midline one more time. Draw it in a little closer for one breath. Inhale. And exhale to release the strap and let that leg float down, and pause for a moment and just notice the sensations you feel in your body. And then take your time to make your way to all fours. So you can either roll over onto your side, press yourself up, or you can hold behind your legs, cross your ankles, roll yourself up, and swing those legs around, coming to hands and knees. So we'll just extend the right leg straight back behind us and flex and point the ankle. Option to lift the left arm away, so we're holding spinal balance as we flex and point. Mobility for that ankle joint, movement in the foot. One more time. Then flex and hold. We can bring the hand back down and place the ball of that foot down to your mat and push into your heel to stretch your calf. If you want a little deeper stretch and more body weight to get into this stretch, lift up into down dog. And I have just my right heel pressing into the mat, and I have the top of my left foot pressing down. So I have two little opposing stretches here for my foot. And just sink down into that right heel gently. We'll take one more breath here. And exhale, lower back down, all fours, hands and knees. Take your left leg straight back, and we flex and point. Option to lift that right hand up off the mat. Your thumb rotates up in a handshake hold position. So we're rotating our shoulder out just a bit. And notice your abdominals. So try not to let your belly sag down, but pull up and tighten. Try to level off your hips and your shoulders. One more repetition, flex and hold, then place the hand down and the ball of the foot down and push into your heel. Either staying here or press away with the hands, lift up into that down dog. The left heel goes down as we stretch the top of the right foot. Stretching across the arch and a little bit into the toes. Just to a place where you feel comfortable. So no pain here with these two stretches. One more breath. Then back down to all fours, hands and knees. Tuck your toes under and lift up into down dog and press both heels down towards the mat. And open up through the armpits, broaden the shoulder blades. And on an inhale, bend the right knee and push the left heel down. Exhale. Inhale to switch. Press the right heel down and exhale. So just go back and forth, but be mindful of the breath. So we're basically inhaling to switch and exhaling to sink into the heel. If your wrists are bothering you, you can drop to your elbows and do this in dolphin. And we'll do one more on each leg. Press. And switch, press. And then drop both heels down. One more breath here. Inhale, expand through the ribs. And exhale. Begin to walk, step or jump your feet up to the top of your mat. Come into forward bend. We'll just relax here in an easy ragdoll pose, placing the hands across opposite elbow creases. Let your head relax. Depending on your flexibility in that posterior chain, you might be able to get your legs straight, but not locked. Or you might need a really big, deep knee bend so you can fold over those legs. And then we are going to flow in and out of our forward fold, releasing the elbows. Inhale, circle sweep the arms out and up, stretch up to the ceiling. Exhale and fold back down. At your own pace with the breath. Inhale, rise. And exhale, fold. If you'd like, you can put a little tiny baby back bend at the top of that extension, or just in neutral spine as you reach up. And we'll take one more breath, pressing the palms together at the top. Draw thumbs into your heart and sit into chair pose, Utkatasana. Then inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, chair pose. So we'll alternate these two as we flow them together. And you can change the shape of your arms, whatever feels good for you as you flow back and forth. So maybe pressing the palms together is not the best for you in chair. You can lower your arms down. You can bring them by your ears. Just listening to our shoulders, listening to the lower back. We've got one more of each. A forward fold. And a chair pose where we'll hold here. We'll take our right foot and step back to high crescent lunge. So we get the ball of the foot down to the floor. Heel is lifted and we bring the chest up, opening up through the heart center. Finding our balance, leveling off the hips. Then step that foot back into chair. Finding your balance, step the left foot back into high crescent lunge. And step in. This time as we switch the right foot steps back, we open out with the arms. A little bit of a chest expansion. Exhale, close the palms together. Sometimes this is called flight of the bird. Left foot steps back. And close in. Two more on each leg. Right leg. And close. Left leg. And close. Right abdominals braced. And left. And hold your chair pose. Inhale, sweep out and up. Exhale, swan dive into forward bend. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, chair pose. Step the right foot back, high crescent lunge, expand. Then reach the hands down to the mat and step back to downward facing dog. So we're going to do this variation today in our sun salutation. Glide forward into plank and hold a couple of breaths, finding a really good neutral spine. You can drop to your knees. This is great. And then keeping your elbows in close to each other, lower down towards the belly, chaturanga. Let the chest lift away from the mat into baby cobra, nice active thighs. Exhale, lower down and push into the hands. Press back to child's pose. Stretch. And then we'll rise back up, tucking the toes. Lift the hips back up into our downward facing dog. And we'll lift the right leg nice and high, stretch it up. Take a big step forward towards the top of your mat. Rise up into high crescent lunge, opening out into our fly to the bird position. Step forward into chair pose. Inhale, circle sweep the arms, stretch. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale to chair. Our left foot steps back into flight of the bird. Reach the hands to the mat. Press back to your down dog. Press those heels down. Inhale, glide forward to plank. Hold a couple of breaths. Strong shoulders, strong upper body and core. From the knees or toes, lower down. Extend into that baby cobra. If you'd like to come up a little higher, we can move into upward facing dog. And we'll press back to child's pose just one more time. Stretch. Glide back up, tucking the toes, the hips rise. We come into down dog, the heels press down into the mat. Inhale, the left leg rises. Take a big step through to the top of your mat. Now, if you don't make it, grab that ankle with your left hand and help yourself step forward, rising up into flight of the bird, our crescent lunge. Step into chair. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. We'll do one more round of the sun salutation on each side. Inhale, coming up. Exhale into chair. Right foot steps back, flight of the bird. Exhale, hands find the mat. Move into our plank pose. Knees or toes, lower down to the belly. Extending the spine upward into baby cobra or upward facing dog. And we'll bypass our child's pose this time, lifting the hips, tuck the toes, right into down dog. Now, of course, your child's pose is an option here. Stretch. We'll lift the right leg, extend it up. Step through towards the top of your mat, rising up into flight of the bird. We close together into chair. One more round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold deeply, stretching the backs of the legs. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, chair. Left foot steps back. Open those arms, stretch through the chest muscles. And reach to the mat, step back to your plank. Find a solid line from head to toe. Knees or toes, lower down through your chaturanga. Moving into baby cobra or upward facing dog last time. Pressing back to down dog or taking that child's pose if you need it in this moment. Press the heels, stretch. And we'll lift that left leg. Big inhale. Exhale, step through towards the top of your mat. Rise up into flight of the bird. And step into chair last time. Inhale, rise up. Just let your arms float next to the sides of your body into mountain pose. If you can close your eyes for a moment, check in. See how you're feeling in your practice today. So we are going to come into pyramid and revolve triangle. You might need your yoga block. So if you have that, take a moment, just get it, make sure it's up reachable towards the top of your mat so you don't have to find it when you're in your pose. So if we start in mountain, notice that your feet are parallel, straight forward and back. I want you to take your left foot and step it back about a foot and try not to turn it out. So I still want your feet to be parallel, but they're not one in front and behind each other like on a balance beam. I want them to be like you're on two railroad tracks. And then for now, we'll just place our hands at our hips and pull the shoulder blades back. Keep both legs straight as you begin to hinge forward from your hips until you feel this right leg begin to elongate and stretch. Now here's where your yoga block comes in handy. If you're a little tight in those hamstrings, you can place your hands right on top of your block to give yourself a little bit of support. At home, a chair works really nicely for this. As we hold here a few breaths, you might be able to drop your block down to its medium height, its lowest height, or even down to the floor. If you don't have a block, you can gently support here, but try not to lock out your leg. And really elongate your spine. We want to find that stretch through both connections of the hamstring behind the knee and at that sitting bone. Now, if you can, just relax your head a little bit. Shake it up and down, right and left, so you're not keeping any tension at all into your neck. And we'll take one more breath here. Then we can bring the hands back to the hips to help us to rise up using the strength of the back of the body. Push into that front foot, rise back up, and we step the back foot forward. Again, keeping those feet parallel, step your right foot back about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. Square off your hips, open up through the fronts of the shoulders and hinge your body forward. And go slow so that you're not overstressing, tensing up those muscles. Find your edge. Use your props as needed to help you here to support. And then as you breathe, you might really feel those muscles start to let go and be able to adjust your props to sink in a little deeper. Now notice your feet and really root into all 4 corners of each foot. So the inside and outside of the ball of the foot and the inside and outside of the heel are pressing equally into your mat. Let your head relax. And then we'll bring our hands back to our hips and very gently pull yourself back up and step the back foot forward. Now separate your feet a little wider apart. And this time when you step your left foot back, you've got more space between your legs from side to side. We lengthen the spine, start to hinge forward. And this time, if you're using your block, I want you to put it under your left hand. Then we'll add an option to twist open to the right in revolved triangle. And we'll hold here 3 breaths. Now this top arm, sometimes that's bothersome to the shoulder to hold it up. So you can put your hand on your hip or wrap it behind your back and try to rotate your gaze up to the ceiling. One more breath. Exhale to come out of the twist, but deepen into your pyramid one more time as you descend down and stretch. Hands to the hips as we propel our body back up and step the back foot into a wider stance. A little bit more than hips distance apart. The right foot steps back along that same line. Open up the heart. Hinge forward. The block is going to be under your right hand, whatever height you need it here to keep this front leg pretty straight. And then we rotate open to the left for our revolved triangle. Now the various stretches I'm feeling is the back calf, the back leg calf, because I've got my heel pressing down, the front leg hamstring, and that IT band, because that rotation actually brings the leg across the midline of my hip and pelvis. We'll take one more breath here. Inhale. Exhale, come out of the twist and sink down deeply. Hands to the hips. And then we'll propel ourselves up. Step the back foot forward. And now we can come back to a hips distance apart or feet close together position. Mountain pose, eyes closed just for a couple of breaths to check in and to breathe. And we'll inhale, sweep the arms out and up. Exhale, swan dive into forward bend. Step back into down dog one more time and maybe notice the difference in the stretch in the backs of your legs from your first down dog of the morning. We are going to prepare to come into pigeon pose, and some of you might have a problem with pigeon. If it bothers your knees or your hips, then I want you to go ahead and come out of your down dog and roll over onto your back so you can do a figure 4 stretch in place of our pigeon. If you're ready for pigeon pose, we'll take the right leg, extend it up, lengthen it, and then you'll bring that right knee towards your right side wrist and turn your ankle across the midline towards your left side of your mat and start to lower yourself down into a hip opener. Now for me, I have really tight hips, so I like to take my blanket or block and tuck it under that right hip here. So we are going to do a few variations here of our pigeon. We'll just start by lowering the upper body down, supporting the head, and noticing how that right glute and hip feel in this moment. So each of these additional options are just exactly that. They're options. You don't need to take them. You can stay just as you are, which is wonderful. Our next option is going to be adding a twist to this pigeon. So if you press yourself back up just a little bit, keep your left hand on the floor and do a little thread the needle with your right arm through that space and try to lay your right shoulder down onto the mat. And here's where I like to have a block for the side of my head as I'm twisting here. Or you can press your palms together and rotate, pressing that right elbow down into the mat. We'll stay in this option 3 breaths. Last inhalation. And as you exhale, guide yourself back out of that twist. And then you can come forward again into your pigeon and hold. Our final option is going to be to reach the back ankle and pull it up towards the glute to add a quad stretch. This one you might need your yoga strap for, so press yourself up. See if you can reach back with that left hand to find your ankle. If you can't reach it, take your yoga strap and loop it around that ankle so you can pull it in toward you. Have a little extra length. So any of these options are great to stay in. We'll hold about 30 seconds. Slow breathing. And 2 more breaths. If you have the ankle, release it and lower yourself down one more time into that pigeon. And then we need to move our body a little bit before we switch sides. So if you're on your back in figure 4 stretch, you can uncross the ankle, do a couple little windshield wipers or hug your knees into your chest and circle your knees. If we're in pigeon, press into the hands, tuck the back toe under, slide yourself back into your down dog, and very slowly pedal out your feet back and forth. Or you can come to hands and knees and do some cat and cow. And then we'll prepare for the other side. So we'll lift that left leg up, bringing the knee towards the same side wrist, the ankle to the opposite side wrist. Lower yourself down into pigeon. Use your props if you need a little something underneath that left glute. And then take your time to lower down. So it's really nice here to support the head. You can do that with your block, or you can stack your fists or your hands. Place a little pillow underneath your forehead. Anytime our head is hanging in space, there's more of a tendency to tense up the neck, tighten up through the shoulders. And frankly, we have enough of that in our life, of tensing that area. So really try to relax and soften. Remember the options, not necessary to take those. You can just stay here. We're holding at least a 3-minute hold. Option number 2, we'll add our twist. So pressing up just a little bit. The right hand stays on the mat. The left arm does a thread the needle. The palm is up as we lay that left shoulder down and support the side of the head with your block. Option is to press the palms of the hands together and press down into that elbow as you lift and create a little bit more twist. Staying here, 2 more breaths in the twist. And then coming out of the twist, we press into the right hand to slide that left arm out. And then just square off your shoulders and come on down again and rest. If you're in that figure 4 stretch on your back, you're just pulling those knees in towards you gently and holding and breathing, or maybe taking that cradle the baby. Now we'll add our last option. Pressing up, we bend the back knee and reach back for that ankle, drawing the heel toward the glute. So here with the yoga strap, you can loop it around that foot to give yourself a little extra length to pull that in toward you. Lift the heart. And that is a deep stretch for me. Tight, tight quads. Just check in, make sure you're not feeling any undue pain in any joint. If your body's screaming at you to come out of that pose, then you need to do that. It should be a gentle stretch, not a painful one. We'll take one more breath here. Then releasing the back ankle, lower yourself all the way down one more time. So we're all going to transition onto our back. So if you're already there with figure 4 stretch, you're going to want to do a little bit of movement first. Uncrossing the ankle. If we're here in pigeon, we can press into the palms, tuck the back toes, and coming up into our down dog. One more time to pedal out the feet. And then we'll all transition to a supine position, back on our back where we began our class today. Legs extended. Just checking in. And then we're going to come into legs up the wall. Now, if you're at home and you can put your mat actually up against a wall, that's great. Float those legs straight up a wall, or you can even put your legs over a chair. Here in the backyard, we're just going to bring our legs up. And if you have a hard time keeping your legs lifted by yourself, you can actually use your yoga strap, place it under the bottoms of the feet so you can have your hands actually help to keep your legs up. If you want a little bit more Venus return to the heart, you can actually elevate your hips a little bit with a blanket or a block and then lift the legs. So it's just a nice little option to slightly have the hips a little bit higher than the heart. And legs up the wall has so many wonderful benefits. We can add a little bit of an ankle pump, so flexing and pointing. And this actually squeezes the muscles of the calves and the shins, and it actually helps to squeeze blood from the lower legs and move it back up our series of one-way valves that we have in our veins to make its way back to the heart to be circulated. So if we have poor circulation in our legs and we start to see swelling or maybe some spider veins or varicose veins, that might mean our veins aren't quite doing their job. And it's good just to help and assist with that by coming into legs up the wall occasionally and letting those fluids make their way back down towards the heart. Now just relax your legs and feel the heaviness of the bones of your legs push down into the back of the hip socket. Now you can remain as you are, or you can add any other poses here that you might like. And I typically on my online classes don't teach shoulder stands or plow pose because I can't see anyone to correct those, and they can be a little bit hard on people's necks. But at home or even here in the backyard, if you know your body well and know that you can perform those poses, feel free to roll over into a plow or roll up into a shoulder stand and take an inversion here. And we'll be here 1 minute remaining. You might have a sensation of your legs feeling lighter. And truly that is the case because as the blood and the lymphatic fluid flows down towards the heart, the legs are a little bit lighter as that blood volume has moved away from those tissues. They might feel a little colder as the blood is moved away from the capillaries. And we'll take 2 more deep breaths here. If you are in a shoulder stand or a plow pose, you can very gently roll yourself back down to legs up the wall position. And then bend your knees to tabletop. Bring your fingertips behind the back of your head and gently support your head and neck. We'll curl our head and shoulders up off the mat. So we're doing a little bit of an abdominal curl and extend one leg out, bracing your abdominals. Bring it back in. Extend the other leg out. Next time we'll add a twist. So as you extend one leg out, rotate towards that opposite knee. Bring it in. Other side, rotate. At your own pace, just gently strengthening the abdominal muscles. Two more on each side. Joyce Birdie, I know you always like some core work, and I know you're with me online today, so we'll do a couple of these for Joyce. One more on each side. Now once you come back to center, set your head down, set your feet down to the mat, and we'll come up into a bridge by rolling the hips up away from the mat, pressing into the feet, and try to feel a little bit of a stretch and release across the top of the thighs and the hip flexors. If you'd like to stretch through the chest a little more, interlace your hands behind your back. You can rock back and forth a little bit until you can roll the backs of your arms underneath you into a nice little chest expansion. Be sure that your chin is free of your sternum. You have that clear space in your neck. You can breathe easily. And we always keep our head parallel here and not rotate from side to side when we're up into bridge. Press a little deeper with the feet down into the mat. Lift the hips 1 inch higher. And we hold one more breath. Then separate the hands, separate your shoulder blades, and roll your spine down 1 vertebra at a time. We'll bring the soles of the feet together, let the knees fall open into Supta Baddha Konasana to release again any tension through the inner thighs and the groin. And we'll do just a short, progressive, contract, release, stress relieving exercise. So when we have stress in our life, it's normal to tense our body up and create tension, to drive our blood pressure up, to drive up those fight or flight hormones. So this is a technique where we can teach ourselves to relax our body when we're under tension. So what we'll do is to make a fist with the right hand, squeeze, and tighten all of the muscles in your arm. So you're going to feel your forearm muscle tense, your bicep muscle, your tricep, and even up into that shoulder is tensing. But our goal is to keep the rest of the body as relaxed as possible. So your face is softened, your forehead relaxed, your jaw is not clenching, your cheeks are heavy. The legs relaxed, the hips, thighs, and glutes. And we're breathing at a gentle pace. Now slowly begin to let that tension dissipate as you relax the muscles in your arm. And it might take you a second to unfold your fingers, but just let them open like petals of a flower with the morning sun. And then make a fist on the left side. Tense, tighten, engage, but keeping the rest of the body still and relaxed and quiet. Try not to let the speed of your breath pick up. Keep moving it slowly in and out through the nose. Feel your outer thighs sinking towards the ground as your hips are relaxed. Your mind is calm. There's no worry, no anxiety, no stress, just peace. And we'll slowly allow that tension in the left arm to dissipate, relaxing. Let the arm feel heavy and slowly open the fingertips. Now at home, if you need some more time in quiet and meditation, you can actually continue this progressive relaxation technique by extending your legs long, tightening one leg at a time, and various other parts of your body. So there's no rush for you to get up if you're home or watching this on YouTube. You can continue with this progressive relaxation technique. Now here in the backyard, we'll begin to close our legs together. Separate your feet a little wider than your knees and drop your knees side to side for windshield wipers so they both go over to the right and they both go over to the left. And then when you're ready, in your own way, we'll make our way up to a simple cross-leg pose to seated. And just take a moment and reflect on your practice today. With palms at heart center in our Anjali Mudra, we use this symbol of honor and gratitude to close our practice. And I am grateful for this opportunity to guide you through your yoga practice, both in person here in the backyard, online live with me, and later on YouTube. It's an honor. The light and the joy that resides within me honors the light and joy in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. I'll turn our recording off and run in the house and say hello to those of you who can chat for a minute. Ladies, those of you that are swimming, have at it this morning. It's great to see everyone. Oh, just a reminder too, no backyard boot camp tomorrow. I wanted to remind everybody. So I'll see you next week online.